Hi there, Dr. J, Steve Jensen from the National Sales Academy and Impact Training Corporation. How's things going today? Hope you're having a great day out there. I want to jump on and just give you a little bit of an insight on something that has been coming up quite regularly when I've been popping in and seeing some of our clients. And it's a question I ask them, is what are you talking about with your sales team and with your staff? And isn't it interesting? What we talk about most becomes important. If you have a focus on your sales and your lead gen and your customer care, here's a bit of a suggestion. Talk about it on a regular basis. Acknowledge great performance and also if there's some challenges going on. I'm regularly going into businesses and we find out they're not talking about the things that are really important, that they usually are concerned about at the end of the month if they haven't met their budget or their target. Maybe their customer care has dropped off. And there needs to be some simple things that you have got planned that you're going to make important and talk to your team on a regular basis. So what do you talk about in regards to your sales? What topics do you talk about? Do you talk about how many leads we have? Do we talk about how many have been contacted? The lead to contact percentage, or the contact to booked appointment percentage, or the contact to sale percentage, because sometimes you have an immediate sale. If you have appointments and so forth, are you talking about how many appointments you have each day? And do you know how many appointments you need to make your budget and or target? How often are you having these conversations? If you're not having them at all, then I can almost guarantee you they're not going to be important. And when it comes at the end of the month, sometimes it's a big celebration and sometimes it's a bit of a shock. So how often are you talking about your conversions? And when I say conversions, it's about calls to contact, contact to booked appointment or sale, or whatever is next. So contact to whatever's next. It could be a link sent or it could be an appointment. If we have appointments, are we looking at and having a chat about, what are the show percentages? How many of them showing up? If we're having lots of conversations and no one's showing up, we have a problem with the phone activity. If we're sending out lots of links and no one's actually taking action, probably you're sending the link out a little bit too early. The other thing I want to ask you is, what do you complain about? Isn't it interesting that we sometimes want to be a leader or a driver or a team member and we complain? And my recommendation is there are always going to be areas where you're having a little bit of a, moan about. But let me make sure that if you have a little bit of a complaint or a moan about it, come up with a solution, something that will say, well, this is a bit of a challenge, but how about we try this? Or put your hand up and say, hey, I need some help. Because if there is a complain culture, what tends to take place is that we create a culture of, oh, it's always going to be the same. And isn't it funny, we gravitate towards that negativity. So does everyone in your business know what to talk about? So do they know their numbers? Do they know how many sales are needed for the month? Do they know how many appointments they need each day? If you're talking about these things on a regular basis, it will become important. And make sure that when everyone does a good job or you do a good job, you celebrate. Say, yes, we're doing well. And if we're not doing that great, let's say, what do we have to do a little bit differently? I can assure you, your salespeople will be excited when you get excited. And your sales professionals and your people around you will gravitate towards positive conversations. And if things aren't going great, say, hey, let's do a bit of a brainstorm and what can we do differently to get a better result? So, recommendation. Have about 5 to 6 things that you talk to your team about on a regular basis. Now, you might have a team huddle. We did a little webinar on team huddles the other day. You might have a team huddle. That's when you get together for 5 to 10 minutes every day and say, what was great from yesterday? What did I achieve? What were some of the things that were holding me back? What have I got planned for today? And is there anything that I need some help with? But I also recommend that you have your numbers. we're getting close to this, we're over budget on this or target, which is a lot better to work with. And guess what? Your culture will start to shift, and all of a sudden people will start talking about the things that are important. I can promise you, if you're a leader or a leader of the team, or maybe you're an influencer in the team, the things you talk about positively and what we're going to achieve will become important. So write down those 5 or 6 numbers or percentages that you're going to talk about regularly. Make sure that you celebrate some wins, and also make sure that you put together an action plan if things aren't going great. It's always better to put your hand up for help instead of waiting to the end of the month and saying, oh, this was a disaster. All right, hope that helped. Put it into practice, put some comments down there, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.